Winning cures everything. Now for your hosts, Gary and Chris.
Welcome in, Winning Cures Everything. It is the Martin Luther King Day edition of the show. It is Monday, January the 18th. I'm Gary.
I'm Chris.
And much to discuss because we had some big-time news hit a little earlier today, and it falls right into our wheelhouse. We have talked about it multiple times over the last couple of weeks, and Tennessee decided they are going to go ahead and fire Jeremy Pruitt today. AD Phil Fulmer has stepped down, and the Tennessee program is a dumpster fire once again. We already knew that, but my God, it's been like that for 15 years. Nothing much has changed. Oh, what a mess. Before we get started, of course, we're doing our NFL divisional recap today. We're going to talk about some UFC stuff that happened over the weekend, at least big news. We're not talking about any individual fights or anything like that, but let's go ahead and give you the rundown. WinningCuresEverything.com is the website. You can always find the podcast at any of your favorite podcast locations. Make sure that you go ahead and do that. We will have some changes to announce at some point later this week as far as the schedule goes and where you can find the show, etc. But definitely leave us a 5-star review over at Apple Podcasts. That would help. The live show, of course, if you are watching right this second, you can jump into the chat at any of the platforms that we are on, that we go live on. That would be Periscope, Twitch, Facebook, YouTube. Steven Statler said you can't fire Pruitt for recruiting violations and then hire Freeze. You say that, but I mean, who knows?
Bullshit, you can't.
I mean, who knows?
Don't tell me
right?
what I can't do.
That's there is no show cause for Hugh Freeze right now. You know,
that's right.
Like Hugh Freeze is going out and recruiting. Like anyway, we'll talk about that here in a minute. But McKinnon jumps in. Happy MLK Day, boys. Happy MLK Day to you as well. Hopefully, the people that did get to take off work today have enjoyed it. And whatnot. I have been working. I've been out of town all weekend, so I've been rocking and rolling. We've been fairly busy getting things done around the house and whatnot. And I've been prepping for another show, and we'll talk about that here in just a minute. But Chris, tell me about your day right quick. This is not a holiday.
It was not a holiday for me. No. When people are off work, I usually go to work because that's when they're home, and that's when they want you to come over and talk about getting their house fixed up. And that's what I do for a living. And so that's where I have to go.
You have got that right. But you did enjoy football over the weekend, right?
I enjoyed a lot of I moved very, very little. I'm pretty sure that my iPhone thinks that I died.
They're like, why have you not changed locations?
People who are dying have taken more steps than I took over the weekend.
That's so ridiculous. But I can understand it because it was a full slate of NFL football. We will get to that eventually. SBRpicks.com/NCAAF, by the way. That is our college football gambling content. And now our college football content. We still will talk college football on this show, but we are going to be doing one show a week from here on, the big college football show over at Sportsbook Review. Every single week, it's either Tuesday afternoon or Wednesday that will be going on. But yeah, go ahead and make sure that you are subscribed to the YouTube page. You can find it by searching on YouTube. Just search SBR Picks, and very easy to find. Make sure you subscribe there, leave some comments, all that good stuff. But we will be continuing along with Sportsbook Review. We are glad to be doing it. Subscribe, go to the website, all that good stuff. You can find everything you need to know over there. You can also find it, of course, over at winningcureseverything.com, because all of the shows that we do will be posted right there. Right on the website, easy to find. You can also follow us on Twitter. You see all that stuff on the screen, or you can find it over at the website. All right, Chris, let's dive in. The first thing on the board, of course, Jeremy Pruitt gone, and I don't know that this is exactly a shock at this point because, I mean, my God, they've been investigating him since, November. It's a little surprising. But this is the can of worms that Kansas opened up when Jeff Long decided he wanted to try and fire David Beatty for cause so that he didn't have to pay a $3 million buyout. Well, this buyout was a little bit more significant, right? We were talking...
It was 12.
A little over 12. And then, of course, you had some assistant coaches that it probably tossed it up to about 15 or so.
Now, hang on now. if the assistant coaches didn't break any rules, but the head coaches break rules, once the head coach is gone, all their contracts become null and void?
No, some of the let me see if I can find it. Some of the coaches were in violation, because they did a deep dive on this. So on my profile, I actually shared it out from what Pete Thamble shared. So assistant football coaches Brian Niedermeyer and Shelton Felton, so that's the inside linebackers coach and recruiting coordinator and the outside linebackers coach, 4 members of the on-campus football recruiting staff, the director and assistant director of football player personnel, and a football analyst and quality control coach. The quote was, "What is so disturbing, as demonstrated by the scope of these actions, is the number of violations and the people involved in their efforts to conceal their activities from our compliance staff and from the athletic department's leaders," Plowman noted. "Despite a strong compliance culture in our athletic department, we must look for ways to further strengthen our processes. We deeply regret the impact this may have on our many student athletes, particularly the vast majority of our football players who have had no involvement in this matter at all." And that's a little funny to say that those football players have had no involvement, because some of those football players, they were involved. They were, their families were being paid and whatnot, so you can't say that they didn't. It's strange. So it's Chancellor Plowman and Athletic Director Phil Fulmer who issued the termination letters. And then, of course, Tennessee gets Fulmer up there, and he resigns today. He is stepping down as AD. Now, they're not saying that it was a forced step down, but it sure seems like the timing is right there. So Brown Yeti jumps in. He said, "Sup, fellas?" Casey Case said Tennessee would have been pretty good if it had a good quarterback. That O-line was nice. Yes. No, absolutely. Tennessee was not a bad football team.
They could run the football, and they could protect the passer. They had some weapons there. You're right. They were a quarterback away, not from being a playoff team, not from competing against Georgia and Florida, really, but supplanting themselves as the third best team on that side of the field and winning a lot more games than they won.
Steven said Tennessee mentioned integrity repeatedly in the press conference. He also said they don't even have an athletic director now. What a mess. That's the crazy part about it. Fulmer saying that he was stepping down so that the next AD can make the hire. So are you trying to tell me that you're going to hire an AD in the next week? So what I'm curious about is the timeline now, right? Kevin Steele, the guy that they just hired in as a defensive assistant, he wasn't even the coordinator. It's January 18th. We're kind of late in the hiring process now.
Okay. We don't play football again until August.
Agreed. But it's a little later than you would like. So are they going to go after?
You mean because all the good coaches are taken?
No, not necessarily. I can think of several that are still out there. So I do wonder, though, because if they're waiting to hire an AD before they hire a football coach, are they going to do their due diligence to go and get an AD and then go hire a football coach?
Hang on now. How long do you think it takes to do this?
Well,
a couple of weeks?
To hire a good AD.
They can have an AD by the end of January pretty easily. Do your due diligence, do your search, come up with names. That's not hard, Gary. That's not a hard thing to do.
It shouldn't be.
They can have they can have one by the end of this week if they pick up the phone. They call me. You know your boy loves the Knoxville area, right?
I do.
I've spoken how much I have no ties to Tennessee whatsoever. I'm the only Tennessee defender here ever because I love Knoxville. I love the Smoky Mountains. I would do anything in the world to live there. Take the least amount of money you've paid an AD the last 10 years. Whatever that number is, cut it in half, call me, I'll come do it.
There you go.
And then I'll have as a coach in 2 weeks. Guaranteed coach in 2 weeks.
Would you hire Freeze?
I would damn sure hire Freeze. And I would tell everybody who's upset about integrity to stop watching college football because that's how the sausage is made.
Yes.
And if you want to compete, you want to be Army, you want to be Navy, go be Army and Navy, all right? But we can't be here. Even Vanderbilt bends these rules, all right?
That's true.
Now, they dug to find Pruitt dirt, which they knew what Pruitt's dirt was. That's
an interesting part about this. Let's dive into that for 2 seconds here. I've had multiple people texting me because, of course, the underlying theme here, or not underlying, how about this, the thought process for a lot of people is, Pruitt's going to go be Saban's defensive coordinator again. Well, that all depends on what ends up happening. This was not an NCAA thing. It is as far as the NCAA rules are concerned, but the NCAA is not the ones doing the investigating here.
No, he can go take a job tomorrow. He's got no violations.
So who knows, if the NCAA decides, if they, heard, oh, wait, violations? If they decide they want to go set up shop in Knoxville and they just take what Tennessee gives them.
That's fine. Listen, I'm going to work under the premise that the NCAA is completely inept. Okay, so Tennessee fans and Tennessee board, you understand, I am not afraid of the NCAA. I understand they're all fools. There's no doubt I will outfox them.
Yeah.
Okay, I can promise you this. I'm not a smart man. I am a hell of a lot smarter than all that. Well, I don't know. They have somehow conned their way into making large sums of money, 7-figure jobs, and don't do dick, man. So maybe they are smarter than me, but I'm damn sure not afraid of them. They don't scare me.
Steven jumps in. Coaches are already welcoming in parts of their 2021 classes. That is true. Like your early enrollees are already there.
Yeah, but you can get a kid to flip pretty easily. Like
That's true.
You're welcoming in your 2021 class. Like all the juniors in high school right now, those guys hadn't signed anything that they can't get out of.
Yeah, the juniors for sure have not signed anything because they can't until next December. But
one of the recruits you've got, I would gladly let anybody who came in under Pruitt, because you're going to have a couple of years that just are going to struggle. I'd let the new coach come in. I'd say, give my new coach 1 month of being committed to him. If you don't like him, you're out of your letter of intent. You can get the hell out.
There you go. Matt Miller said, hey, all these Saban disciples need to be cleaner in there, cheating like their boss. Maybe Tom Herman can go to the little UT. Brown Yeti said Gus should be the hire for head coach.
I'll tell you this, Gus and Herman would be on the list. There's 4 names. I guarantee you by the end of February, I'd have one of those 4 men sitting in that room.
By hiring Kevin Steele, there is no chance that Gus will take the Tennessee job.
Well, I can fix that real quick.
Get rid of Kevin Steele.
When I call Gus, I show him the Kevin Steele size hole in my window where I threw him out of.
Steven said, God is protecting Freeze at Liberty by making Tennessee coach be fired for recruiting violations. Probably. Matt Miller said Pruitt or Golding will be DC at Texas. That's true, and probably whichever one is not will likely end up at Alabama. Brown Yeti Chris here put out his application for Tennessee AD. That's what I'm talking about. Let's see. Thank me for my service.
I don't know where you actually officially fill that out or send that in. I don't know. Are they like on LinkedIn?
Indeed.com, I think. Somewhere around there. Thank me for my service wants to know where you get a WCE shirt. WinningCuresEverything.com.
Oh,
just click on the store.
We used to have one of these. Oh, yeah, sure. They're still on the website, aren't they?
Still on the website. Yep.
There you go.
Casey said, where do you think Terry Wilson will end up? Not that it matters. Who knows? Who knows? More than likely at a smaller school, I would imagine. So
I could build a staff tomorrow. If I can get one of my offensive coaches to let me also pick the DC, I think we'd be pretty good. And you know who I'd call to be the DC? You know who I'd call? You're not going to see this coming. Call my boy Doc.
I could see that. Okay.
Hey man, you want to come be a DC at a big boy school? Come on,
Doc Holliday.
Beautiful. I know you. Listen, you're used to the mountains. You're from West Virginia. Hey, come on. These mountains are a lot prettier.
Steven said, by the way, guys, I got knocked out in round of 16 in Liberty fan contest, but you guys are the best. Hey, yeah. Steven, we both voted for him.
That's right.
For the best Liberty fan on Twitter, and he was rocking it, man, rocking it. So congrats on making it to the round of 16 for sure. It sucks that it ended there, but hey, just keep building that thing, and we will get you there next go round. Let's see. Matt Miller said Bill O'Brien to UT. Don't think so. I don't know what Tennessee is going to do at this point. I mean. We got to see who the AD is. Bill O'Brien would be an
unbelievable hire, by the way.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm talking, that guy has walked into a far worse situation than this could ever be, and he owned the shit out of it, and he knocked it out of the park. We make fun of Billy O for being the GM bumble that he was, but holy shit. That list of head coaches is bigger than 4. I now have 6 names, but one of those 6 men will be sitting in that chair by the end of February.
So Stephen wants to know later what we think of Josh McDaniels as the Eagles coach. We're not going to talk about it today, but
don't do it, Josh.
We've talked about this multiple times. It's
the worst job out there. That's not Houston.
It's a bad gig. It's a bad gig.
You can't fix Wentz. I promise. Don't do it.
So So with that said, the question that I have for today, obviously we talked a little longer about Pruitt than I anticipated, but it's the biggest news of the day, so obviously we were going to get into it. Big Cat Bryant, the defensive tackle for Auburn, who really could go to the NFL now if he wanted to.
I was just about to say, I'm kind of shocked that he's not jumping ship.
I am as well. I thought he could have gone after last year, really. And he wouldn't have been a first-round pick or anything.
No, last year he would have been. I do think he might be this year. We don't have a lot of edge rushers, and that is a
but he's not an edge
spot.
Rusher. He's not an edge rusher. He's a defensive tackle. Like he's,
okay, I
he's
guess
right
you're right. He probably wouldn't go first either this year, but I don't know that tackle. You better be damn elite now to go first. You're going to go in the top 5, or you're not going to go make it in the first.
Yeah, and he could be a first or second day pick. Make his money,
easily second.
Make a roster.
No doubt. I think he'd be second day pick.
But instead, he announced that he was going to transfer over to Tennessee because of Shelton Felton, who is the guy that was fired today, or at least one of them. And there were 9 staffers, by the way, that ended up fired from Tennessee. Let's see. Brown Yeti said Gus has beaten Bama more than once. It's the hire if you're not a blind Tennessee idiot. Yeah, but he also lost 4 games a year every year since 2013. So, like, what do you want?
Gus is on that list.
Gus is a great hire. Like, I think it'd be great.
Gus is. I mean, he's one of the 6 people I would call.
Yes, most certainly.
He's not one of the top 3 of the 6, though.
Right. It depends on who turns the job down. So we'll see. But Big Cat Bryant is one of those that announced that he was transferring as a grad transfer over to Tennessee. You also have Hendon Hooker, the starting quarterback from Virginia Tech, that announced that he was going to go to Tennessee. I want to know what the timetable is. Have they already signed financial aid papers with the school? Have they, what ties them to the school, or can they just reopen their recruitment? Or do they want to? Are they going to Tennessee? Like, I'm curious about guys like this, right?
I don't know the answer to that, man. I really don't.
I don't either.
I really, really don't.
I found it strange.
You know how I feel, though. I don't think that kids should be married to places if the coaches aren't married to them. So, I know that they're transferring, and so now they're kind of stuck in this weird limbo. They can't go back. We know that.
Answer me this question then, and maybe you can give me a little insight on this. Why on earth would you announce that you were transferring to a place that is openly investigating their coach and trying to fire him?
I don't know the answer. I can't speak to any of that, man. Now, I don't know. The only thing I can think of, Gary, is the amount of money that goes around these colleges. Yeah, you know me. I know all these places are dirty. They're all spending tons of money.
Yeah, it's just weird. I just don't understand why.
Why do all these kids not go to the NFL that are not, first or second day guys, but talking about top 3 draft picks if they go? Oh, I think I'm going to come back and try another year at college. Really?
Now, Hendon Hooker, I can totally understand that, right? Like, things aren't going well at Virginia Tech now. Yeah. You want to give it a shot at a big boy school. I do think,
if I was a quarterback, I don't care who the coach is, you could play major SEC ball if you believe in your talents and you believe in your abilities and you think you can go somewhere to have a real shot at fighting for that job. I'm not worried about who my coach is as much. It's obviously very important.
Well, yes, and most certainly.
I promise you, the guy that I would bring in is a very quarterback-friendly coach. So don't worry.
Big Cat Bryant it did make sense because Shelton Felton is the guy that was his high school coach. So that one makes sense.
However, not there now.
He's not there
so
as
now
of
Big
today.
Cat's kind of stuck.
It's weird.
Which, the worst case scenario, look, I do him and I harp about these kids being stuck at these places after their coach is gone. At the end of the day, we're using the word stuck pretty loosely.
Yes.
Like, you're on a pretty awesome campus in a pretty great school, like the beautiful part of the country. There are worse places to be stuck in.
I know you're 100% right. It's not like they're being mistreated at these places. It's just you may not want to be there because the guy that you thought you were coming to play for is no longer there. And now I have no idea what's going to end up happening. So interesting stuff, of course, out of Tennessee. Let's go ahead and dive into our hey, you know what? Let's talk about Khabib right quick. Let's go ahead and talk about the UFC stuff before we do our NFL divisional recap. Khabib is, they really fired this thing up over the weekend, right? Because they had their first ever UFC on ABC, and it was Max Holloway and Qatar. It was a fun fight, right? Fun card. Everything's good on Fight Island, whatever. But they had Khabib in, and he and Dana had a discussion. And the discussion ended up with the announcement that Khabib might come back, which was really strange to hear. Did you hear what he actually said?
No, I didn't hear anything that he said. I heard when he retired what he said.
Yes, so he retired because his mother no longer wanted him to be a professional fighter and all that. And everybody was discussing the idea of, well, let's do one last one and have Khabib against GSP, right? George St. Pierre, one of the all-time greats in UFC. And that seems okay. It's just, GSP is a little long in the tooth, and would it really be a fight at this point? I mean, who knows? So, let's see, Trills jumps in. That was a clinic put on by Holloway. It really was. He was outstanding. But that's not the interesting thing out of the weekend. The interesting thing is Khabib told Dana White that he would watch UFC 257. That's McGregor against Dustin Poirier. And he would think about coming back if he sees something that excites him. I have never seen an organization that is so tied to whether or not certain fighters want to come back and fight. They hang themselves up on these guys and whether or not they feel like it or not. And the announcement was that he's thinking about coming back. It wasn't that he's coming back. It was that, that's the position that the UFC has put themselves in, right? And I understand that Khabib is a global icon. In the United States, he's not a massive, massive draw. Overseas, he is the biggest name in the sport. It's the same way that GSP was when he left. It's Conor McGregor as well. But McGregor is still the biggest draw as far as U.S. televisions, as far as Ireland, the U.K., etc. Khabib is right there with him globally, right? Why on earth would an organization allow one man to tie them up like this? Because now you have no plan for after 257. You have no idea what the hell is going to happen. There is no succession. There is no, Khabib is not giving up his belt now because he might decide to fight again. This stuff drives me nuts. Yeah.
So here's the issue is you're now letting the horse drive the cart. Okay. Dana's a smart guy. Dana's made a lot of money. Dana has built this sport from nothing. There comes a point where you forget what got you here and you're now trying to do other things. And I think trying to do those other things, which is only build these star-filled fights, is killing your brand instead of building stars. Okay. When he says, I might not give up my belt, you have to come to a point where you don't give him that option.
Yes.
That you can fight for the belt, or these two individuals are going to fight, and the winner of that match is going to take your belt. Now, you want to fight one of them after that, that's fine. But you no longer have a say in this.
Yeah, when you retire,
you have retired. You no longer have a voice in this. You don't get to tell me what's going to happen. It's my business. It's my company. Yes. I have to drive this ship, and I can't wait for you to figure your feelings out. I have to do what's right for the entire company. He's got several hundred, probably maybe 1,000 employees that work for him that he is responsible for. He can't wait on one.
It drives me insane because they're not stripping the belt. This man retired. He put his gloves down. He did all that. Now, he has not filled out the paperwork and whatnot.
Doesn't matter.
But if you were going to make a spectacle of retirement, if you're going to have all these goodbyes and everybody's going to cry, and then we're all discussing, was he the greatest? Was he not? Whatever else. Either retired. This is Brett Favre all over again. It's retire or don't.
You have to at some point and move on. You have to at some point and say, it's not Brett Favre because he's not holding the team hostage or whatever. That's a totally different situation. I think it's a bad analogy. At some point in time, we're going to move on with the sport. And my job is to build stars, is to make stars, is to develop stars. Okay.
Yes.
And I would, if I was Dana White, I would move forward doing that. I would pick your two best contenders. I would have them fight. I would have that fight scheduled as quickly as possible. And the winner of that gets his belt.
Yeah.
And at any point in time in history, if you ever want to come back, your very first fight, if you want, can be for the title. Now, if you want a warm-up fight and then 6 months later fight for the title, that's fine. You are a star, and you get to make that decision. But right now, you're not a part of this team. We're moving forward.
I mean, and it was just October the last time that he fought. I mean, it has not been that long.
No, but you can't hold the company hostage. That's not shame on Khabib, by the way. That's shame on Dana.
Yes, 100%.
You can't allow him to. All this time that we've had all the issues with McGregor, yes, those guys are mega stars. And when they are ready to do something, you kind of say, okay, you get preferential treatment over everybody else. What do you want to do? But you can't stop the business of developing the next Khabib and McGregor.
Yeah.
That's why you're as bad as you are right now.
Yes, you're in a bad way because you stopped the development process. And there are still a lot of great fighters.
Ever stop developing.
Steven jumps in. Starfield fights is what boxing used to do. Let's see, it dragged into Mike Tyson being mauled by Lennox Lewis. It's 100%, but that's what boxing is. Like there is no organization.
That's what it became, and that's what UFC is becoming. Only people care about the stars. And instead of developing more stars behind the guys they have, they're just trying to prop their star up bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And at some point in time, that star burns out.
Yes.
Now you're done. And now you're screwed. And now you're going to have 3 years of tank ratings until you can find that next star. This is why you never stop developing talent.
Matt Miller jumps in. NFL never stopped or lost viewership because of one player. I think a better analogy was if LeBron pulled a Brett Favre because the NBA is controlled by the stars.
Yes.
That's 100% true. Yes, that's a much better analogy.
That would really hurt the league. It would hurt, teams. But he's still just one guy. I don't think the NBA would hold up for him. I don't think the NBA would wait for him.
No.
I think it would devastate ratings in a lot of places, but there are enough stars without him. Giannis and
Steph
Durant
Curry.
And Westbrook and Harden and Luka and all these other guys, AD,
Zion
Kawhi.
Williamson.
There are tons and tons of stars, not to include the young stars, the up and comers, the Jaws and the Zions, and the next grade of stars. So while it would really hurt revenue and it would really hurt the sport, you wouldn't hold the sport hostage the way he has.
No, they
wouldn't
on
say we're not playing for the title in 2021 because the reigning champ hasn't figured out if he wants to play yet or not.
Yeah.
No. We're playing.
Like we're going to have a champion. Trills, take it back to the UFC in the 90s, have a single belt tournament single night tournament for the belt. That's old school style, man. Old school. That's I remember those. The initial ones. Andrew Shirey, whichever one. I just can't see Khabib wanting to fight McGregor again. Maybe he comes back if Dustin wins. Well, so here's the thing. He just beat Dustin more recently than he beat McGregor.
Yeah.
That Dustin was his last fight before Gaethje. So, why would he come back for that one? Who knows? McGregor is still talking all that yak right now, which makes no sense to me.
I think he wants to beat McGregor because everyone who's not McGregor hates McGregor.
It's true.
They want to beat him. So.
And Dana wants that fight to happen because it is a guaranteed moneymaker.
But what Dana's got to see is if I ever can make that that fight happen, we'll make a metric shit ton of money that day.
Yeah.
But he's got to think of the other 11 months out of the year where he's got to put a fight together that people give a shit about.
Yes.
That's the problem Dana has, is he's working to that big mega fight, that big mega deal, and he's tanking, he's dying all of the rest of these fights no one gives a shit about. And he's got to move all of his focus back to developing. And if those big stars want to do something, and that's what I would tell him, by the way, shit or get off the pot. You are the star. You can tell me what to do. You can make more money than me. You have more power and influence over the sport than I do.
However, you still have a contract with me. So,
well, that's fine.
Yeah.
So you tell me when you're ready to fight and who you'd like to fight, and I'll try to make that happen. Until you do that, I'm going forward with building my business.
Yes.
And that's what Dana has not done. It doesn't look like he has put any effort at all into the development of the new fighters.
Yeah, and he's
now
not
maybe
holding...
he has, and we just don't have that star rise up, and that's fine. But from an outsider looking in, it doesn't appear that Dana has put much of any time into the development. And if he's passed that off because the business is too big and that's now no longer his job, and he's hired other people to do it, he needs to check in with those people because they're not doing a good enough job. We should, regular fans that have rented, at least, that actually pay for, not bootleg, pay for me at least 50% of your pay-per-views a year. I got to know more names of fighters than I know.
Yeah, otherwise you're not buying the pay-per-views.
That's on you to teach that to me. That's on you to put these people in front of me and get me excited about them. That's your job to do that.
The guys that become big enough, you're not making them fight. And
yeah.
And it's not that you can necessarily make them fight. It is that you gotta some of these names that you develop, you have to get them to fight. You have to, to sweeten the pot a little bit, make it where they want to come out here and showcase. Because once they win a title, all of them seem to just kind of sit on them, and it's frustrating. Like it's so irritating. All right, let's move off of that. Let's go ahead and dive into the NFL stuff. This is our NFL divisional recap. Divisional playoffs recap, and we had 4 games this weekend. Saturday we had 2, Sunday we had 2, and they were some fun matchups. Let's go ahead and talk about the first one. Saturday afternoon, we had the Green Bay Packers 32-18 over the Rams. This was maybe not totally surprising. Aaron Donald did not look very good at all. He looked frustrated. He looked flustered. The Packers offensive line was able to do some things against him that not a lot of people have. And it partly might be because of the injuries that he was dealing with and whatnot. Aaron Rodgers, 23 out of 36, 296 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Jared Goff was not awful at all. 21 out of 27, 174 yards, 1 touchdown. Cam Akers was the guy that they leaned on quite a bit. 18 carries, 90 yards, 1 touchdown. But nobody else got a carry other than Goff. He had 1. The Rams, I mean, they only had, like 2 drives in that first half, outside of, I mean, it was pretty crazy. I'm trying to look up the actual drive chart. But yeah, I mean, so they had 2 drives where they punted. They went 3 and out. They had a field goal drive and a touchdown drive in that first half, and they were down 19-10. In the second half, it was basically all Green Bay. Like, this was...
Well, this is what we talked about. If the Rams ever get down by 10, it's over.
Yes.
They don't have the firepower to come back on somebody. They can play someone close, but they don't have the firepower to come back on somebody like that.
Now,
they just don't.
You are correct about that. Green Bay's defense, I think, showed up really, really well in this spot. They were able to run the football, which kind of surprised me a little bit. Now, a lot of this was, Aaron Jones had 14 carries for 99 yards. One of them was a 60-yarder. So the other side of this, that he had 13 carries for 39 yards, but he was able to break that long one. Jamal Williams, 12 carries, 65 yards. Like, they averaged 5.2 yards per carry between A.J. Dillon, Jamal Williams, and Aaron Jones. They ran 36 times. They threw 36 times. They were as balanced as you could possibly be, and they kind of dominated this football game. The Packers looked really, really good. Like, were we dumb to doubt them at all?
Oh, no, I don't think so. I think the Packers are really good. I don't know how much we doubted them. I picked them to cover this game.
Yeah, same here. So, and we both took the under, which
I could have seen a world in which the Packers struggled in this game and the Rams have this perfect, game plan, and that happened. I could have seen that happening, but I didn't think it would happen.
Why? Like, Jared Goff played pretty well. Why were we even having this conversation of the other guy starting? Why?
Because Sean McVay has made it clear that he thinks the other guy's just as good, if not better, than Goff.
I don't get it. Like John Walford, it showed. I mean, at least from what I saw, nothing.
I don't know, man.
To show that he's better than Goff.
I mean, I don't think Goff is great. Okay, but a guy that comes off the practice squad, I definitely do not think is better than him.
I tend to agree with you. I tend to agree. All right, let's move into the Saturday night game, and that would be the Bills 17 and the Ravens 3. And is it safe to say that this game came down to a pick six in the end zone from Lamar Jackson?
Yeah, that's when the game ended.
Yeah, because I mean that's a 10-3 game that was either 10-10 or then it jumps to 17-3 and the game's over.
That's right. That's it.
So,
that's it. That's when the game changed, and that was Lamar's first red zone turnover pick.
That stat was insane. 49 touchdowns, 0 interceptions in the red zone in 3 years.
People like to shit on Lamar, but man, he's not nearly as bad as people make him out to be.
Agreed.
He is a very good. Is he the best quarterback in the world? No, he's got the skills that if he can stay healthy and catch lightning in a bottle, he could be the MVP, which he was last year. But it's just one of those things where I don't know where these expectations came from. This is his third year in the league. And everyone was like, oh, can he get the monkey off his back and finally win a playoff game? Finally, his vaulted third year in the league. Like, what are we talking about?
Total plays, the Ravens had 73 total plays to 55 for the Bills. The Ravens were able to run the football pretty effectively, I think we could say. I mean, they ran 32 times for 150 yards. It was 4.7 per carry. Lamar had 9 carries. Tyler Huntley had 3 carries. J.K. Dobbins, 10 for 42. Gus Edwards, 10 for 42. It was, it wasn't that the Ravens were awful. Josh Allen, 23 out of 37, 206 yards and 1 touchdown. The Bills threw the ball 37 times. They only ran it 16 times. It's like they decided, you know what? We know that we're not going to have a lot of success running the football against this Ravens defense. So we're just going to throw it. Like, I thought it was a brilliant game plan by Brian Dable.
They look good. They look good. They look like the most complete. I mean, coming away from the weekend, I think them and the Packers are the 2 best football teams.
That's what it looked like, 100%. I mean, this Buffalo team is incredibly well coached, and they understand, like, their playmaker is Stephon Diggs.
That's right.
And they are going to get him the ball. He had 8 receptions for 106 yards.
And they can get him the ball on screen passes where you throw that little weird bubble screen behind the line of scrimmage. You got 4 other receivers, everybody on one side of the line, and they're all blocking for him. He can catch slants across the middle. He can catch it on the sidelines. That dude can catch a deep ball. I mean, there is not a route in the tree that he can't run to perfection. And if you get it within 3 to 4 feet of him, he's going to get it.
So Cole Beasley did not have a catch, but he was a nice distraction. John Brown is a very good number 2, 8 receptions,
John Brown
yards.
had a game, didn't he?
Oh, yeah, he did. 62 yards receiving and 8 receptions, man. So when Diggs was not there, they were able to find Brown pretty easily. Dawson Knox had 2. Devin Singletary had 3. Isaiah McKenzie had 2 catches. I mean, they spread the ball around pretty well. Baltimore did pretty good, I would say. I mean, Marquise Brown, 4 receptions for 87 yards, but it just kind of showed that this Ravens team was not up to the same level as Buffalo right now, even though it was a closer game than 17-3 would tell you. But it was fun to watch these defenses play. I will say that.
It was a great game. Anybody who just loves scoring and doesn't understand football, I thought this was one, like, going into halftime, this was a super low scoring game.
Yeah.
And I thought, man, this is a really fun game. I would have never, had I not looked at the score, I would have never guessed the score was as low as it was, because it didn't look like your normal drag it out game.
Yeah, it didn't feel like it when you were watching the game.
No. This was an exciting football game against 2 good teams.
And when it's a low scoring game like that, when the defenses are playing that way, like, it feels like every single play could be the game winner.
Well, that's it.
And that's what makes it more exciting.
So much pressure.
Casey said, I've predicted the playoffs perfect so far, 10 for 10 on the money line. I'm putting a nice chunk of money on the exact outcome. Packers defeat the Bills in the Super Bowl plus 600. I mean, cheers to that. I think it'd be fun. I'd enjoy seeing that. You know, I'm good with whoever comes out of this matchup. Like out of these two games, I'm good with it. Brown Yeti, it was nice to be a part of the Bills Mafia, but this is where I get out because Native Americans killed the hell out of bison, and I think history will repeat itself. So he's talking about the Chiefs here. Let's
I disagree there.
Casey said if the Ravens would give Lamar a true number one, he would have a nice shot to win it all.
No, that's where they need to address it this offseason.
Yeah.
They need to go into this draft, and guess what? There's a lot of good receivers coming out of this draft.
Yes.
A lot of them.
Casey said Ed Oliver really makes those guys around him better. That is true.
See, I kind of wonder that. I've watched a lot of this game for Ed, and I saw the Ravens run the football kind of right through the guards a lot. They weren't all edge rushes. I mean, they were right up the nuts. And I was trying to figure out, has Ed Oliver been good? Has he had a good career? Because it's really hard as a novice to watch this stuff, and really see every snap, every play, because as soon as the ball leaves the line of scrimmage, you no longer can see the line of scrimmage. Yeah. So it's hard to pick up on what these guys are doing. Everybody in the world's enamored with Aaron Donald. Yeah. And so we kind of see him all the time, but no other like tackle gets talked about like that because they kind of get lost in the mix. I was actively looking for Ed Oliver, and I just didn't see him involved in a lot of plays.
That's totally fair, especially in this game. I think they knew a way to get him. They
blitzed the hell out of the Ravens. That's what they did.
Oh yeah,
is they sent linebackers and safeties in like a champ all day long.
No, you are correct about that. Let's move off of this one. By the way, Darren, you can't say Lamar Jackson cost them the game when he did not play in the fourth quarter. I'm not saying that he cost them the game. I'm saying that
I don't think he
one
cost them the
interception,
game.
it was that one play that flipped the game.
Yeah, so, that one play was the game. In such a low-scoring ball game, that was a 14-point flip.
Yeah, it would have been 10-10 instead
of 17-3. And the winning
3.
score was 17 points.
Yeah.
So a 14-point swing, I think it's safe to say that
if
that
Tyler
is
Huntley
the game.
Is your quarterback for this entire game, this is a beatdown.
Yeah, we're not close.
Yeah, I
do think Huntley is a great backup, by the way.
Oh yeah, no, I think he will certainly develop into that. I mean, he was super efficient at Utah. Like I think he's going to be good. But I mean, your first real action of the season is in a playoff game. I mean, other games didn't matter as much. So all right, let's dive into Chiefs 22 and the Browns 17. And this went about the way that we talked about it last week. I said Cleveland would cover, but Kansas City would win, and we both took the under on this game. This is what Kansas City does. Now, I guess the biggest question for us to talk about is what's going on with Patrick Mahomes. It was not a concussion. It was a neck stinger, right? Like it.
A neck stinger doesn't drop you to the floor like the jelly legs that he got.
But true, but so the team is saying it was not a concussion, and he did not get hit in the helmet. Like he didn't get hit.
I know
there.
he did.
So
but at some point in time, his head did hit the ground.
Okay, that is a valid point. So what do we make of this?
Lamar didn't get hit in the helmet either. His head hit the ground.
Yeah, his head hit concussion. His head hit the ground, but I don't think that was the same as the Mahomes one, because Mahomes was coming at like a different angle.
All I'm telling you is this: I've never seen somebody get a neck stinger and then have jelly legs to where they could not walk. They couldn't take a step, and their eyes were rolling in the back of their head. Never seen that happen. And Jay Glazer tried to walk it off as if I'm an MMA guy. I know this. He got choked out because he was going down. I'm not a doctor. Used to play one when I was little. My medical expertise is going to say, I don't know that it's possible to choke someone out in less than 7 seconds. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe medical doctors will tell me, no, you can choke someone out pretty fast. But I mean, Mac Wilson had his arm around his neck, bringing him down for maybe 3 seconds.
Yeah, it was not long.
And Mac Wilson is a strong man, okay?
Yes.
Not somebody I would want to be choking me, but I would like to think that it would take more than 3 seconds for me to go lights out, eyes rolled in the back of my head, can't get my feet.
So Casey said they say it's a nerve, but they're not going to say it's a concussion because they want ratings.
Well, if they say it's a concussion, the concussion protocol is going to last more than a week. The official concussion protocol will take him out for the next game.
Reed said if protocol did not start, Mahomes would have come back out to play and was cleared, but protocol was started, so it was out of their hands.
Yeah, but I'm just that's fine. That's fine. I'm just telling you that I've seen a lot of head injuries. I don't know how it happened, but
I will say this: it was weird.
That guy could not stand up on his feet.
It was really weird. Joseph Gomez jumps in. He got hit with a stone cold stunner and got drugged 5 feet. Yeah, pretty much. Casey said props to Andy Reid for letting them hang on 4th down. Let's see. Oh, McKinnon jumps in. Yes, blood chokes only take about 3 to 4 seconds to take effect. He said shit sucks. Let me tell you, world goes dark real quick and you wake up in La La Land.
Maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, McKinnon's a KC homer anyway. I don't hear anything you say. I don't trust you. I think you're lying to me right now.
Joseph said, note, Chris has not watched Carlos Condit choke someone out. Search Chuck Liddell choking out 5 seconds tops.
5 seconds, though. 5 seconds. Hey, Mac Wilson did not have his arm around him, and Chuck Liddell is trained at this. While Mac Wilson is a beast, he's not trained at choking people out.
I mean, that's true.
I mean, he was just trying to make a tackle. He wasn't even trying to choke him out. He was just trying to get his arm around him and rake him to the ground.
Yeah.
I don't think you can accidentally do that. I think you need to be pretty damn skilled to do that.
By the way, this is what happens when you run your quarterback. Like,
yeah.
I mean, not to say that needs to be something.
Hang on. Are we going to talk about the hypocrisy of the NFL and how they give so much of all the dams in the world about health and safety, but we're not going to review a clear helmet to helmet? We care about health and safety, but we don't care about it enough to say we missed that call. We should probably do something about that call.
I would assume that you were talking about
we didn't see it live, so it didn't happen. So I don't care that you're unhealthy right now.
I'm going to assume that you were discussing the fumble out of the end zone.
Yep.
That was incredibly miscalled.
Now, it's a rule. The rule is called correctly, except for they just blatantly chose to not do the head-to-head. That's fine. I have a feeling that when you're playing the Chiefs and you're the Browns, that you're not going to get these calls. This is just the world we live in. I understand that. But to not be able to review that sucks. And that rule, and it's happened against my team, and it's happened in benefit of my team many times. And I am consistent across the board. Gary will tell you, if you've listened to this over the last 4 or 5 years, I've gone on many soliloquies about the ignorance of that rule. How it just doesn't. I'm not opposed to rules. What I'm opposed to is having rules that make no sense. And I would like somebody to explain the logic to me that if a defender gets the ball and they kneel it, they take possession of it and they kneel it or run out of bounds in the end zone, it's a touchback. When a defender at no point in time has possession of the football, how does it give the exact same a ruling?
Yeah.
I don't understand that.
We've talked about it so many times. I mean, it's a bad rule.
It's a bad rule.
And nobody wants to change it.
For some reason, the NFL still likes it. Don't understand that. But the not being Bill Belichick has argued this forever. If we're going to have review and I only get 2 reviews, and I have to have a timeout available to take my review, my challenge. Okay. And if I get both of them right and I still have a timeout available and it's not within the 2 minutes, I can get a third challenge. Okay. Then everything should be challengeable, even holding calls. Everything should be challengeable if we're going to make it that restrictive as to when I can challenge and when I can't.
Yeah.
Everything should be challengeable.
Yes, absolutely. Jumping in here, let's see, McKinnon. Mac Wilson also had kinetic energy going into it. You can hit certain nerves in your body and just straight up pass out. It gets real damn. Shit gets real damn weird.
McKinnon. We've established you're not to be trusted here.
He said, "Chris, I am a Casey homer, but I'm your homie. I wouldn't do you dirty like that."
I don't trust you.
And the league has said Sorensen will most likely be fine since it wasn't called on the field.
That'll make it better. Yeah. That'll make it. You know what? The fact that he'll lose $5,000 this week, that makes me feel a lot better, guys. Don't even worry about it. It's fine. It's okay.
Darren said helmet to helmet is only called 1 in 1,000 calls in the NFL. In college, it's called every time.
Every time.
That's true.
And it's true. Reviewable. And they kicked the son of a bitch out. I shouldn't even call him a son of a bitch. Sometimes it's not even like, sometimes it's clear that the player is headhunting. Most of the time, it's just happens.
Yes. Carlos said, I agree with Chris. So many times Trubisky has been hitting helmet clearly this year, and he never got one call. I guess that's because the NFL does not respect him like other quarterbacks. And Ryan Johnson jumps in. Chris is real mad about the Browns losing to Chad Henne.
Oh, no, I completely agree. If you can't stop Chad Henne, you don't deserve to win a divisional game. I fully understand that. I don't want the refs to take it from him, though. Let Chad Henne take it. That's fine. Look, I'm not afraid. I've been a loser most of my life, okay? You think I'm afraid of being a loser? God. Listen more, okay? On, I lose all the time. Losing doesn't scare me. Losing doesn't bother me. Having something taken from you, especially to the benefit of the team that doesn't need your help. I was at one point in time fortunate enough to have not Grizzly season tickets, but I was in the know with the right people at the Grizzlies, and they used to suck real bad. So any weeknight, I could get tickets that were like 4 rows from the court. Okay. Yeah. I just had to drive down there, make a phone call. I got a ticket, walked in. It was me and like 900 people. All right. Nobody was there. And my one argument every time it was a decent team was to the refs is they don't need your help.
Yes.
They're going to come in here. They're going to beat us by 30. You don't have to give them all the calls too.
Yes.
I don't understand that logic. I don't understand that reasoning. That other team is far superior to us. You don't have to give them every call.
Yeah. Like, just call it straight up and let's see what happens.
Call it straight up is fine. If you want to nudge one way or the other, you do know that this is about TV ratings and people are watching. So, you know, you'd like a good ball game and not an ass thrashing. And at that time, it was looking like an ass thrashing, right?
Yes. Yes, certainly. Certainly. You're right. Casey jumps in, ratings, bro. But that's not. But
blowouts don't get ratings. That's what, Casey, you don't understand. Yes, you want the good team to win. You want the big market team to win, or the team with the superstar to win. But you don't want blowouts, because blowouts don't get ratings.
Agreed. Here, let's wrap up today's show. Let's talk about the Bucs and the Saints. 30-20. Tom Brady gets the best of Drew Brees. The Saints again lose early in the playoffs. It's I'm not going to say it's what we expected, but we've come to expect this from the Saints when you get into the playoffs, and we've come to expect this from Tom Brady when he's in the playoffs. So this is a fitting ending for Drew Brees, I believe. You hate to see him go out this way. The post game of Brady and Brees hugging each other and Brady playing with his kids and all that was
Brady coming back
wonderful.
afterwards and hanging. So here's what you got to remember, like 20 years ago, 15 years ago, that's not happening because Brady's in there celebrating with his team. But right now, Brady's old enough to be the dad of everybody on that roster. He's not partying with them. Okay. No. He's just not. Your dad is not partying with us. He's not partying with them. Okay. So he, while they are all celebrating and going crazy, is going to go out and talk to his friend. I thought that was pretty cool, but I also thought, it sounds like what 2 40-year-olds would do when the locker room's full of 20-year-olds. That kind of makes sense too, is I'd rather go talk to the guy I just beat. Let me tell you what I didn't like about this game.
Okay.
We all knew this is Brees' last game. We're pretty clear, and it's been like talked about all year that this is his final season, right?
Right.
I mean, I guess there's a chance he could come back, but it's not a big enough chance that you can't address it. I don't think Joe Buck or Troy Aikman did nearly. As soon as this game got out of hand, you spend the last 4 minutes of this game having a package ready where the whole rest of the game is doing the homage to Drew Brees. I think he's earned that.
I think so as well.
And they were trying to be so cagey about maybe he will, maybe he won't come back, that they didn't want to talk about it because they didn't want to talk about a guy retiring when he hasn't retired yet. And I thought, you're missing an opportunity here, because the guy's playing like shit and he's getting beat up. And people say, I hate to see him go out like that. How do you think all these guys go out?
Yes, they always go out this way.
Outside of
John Elway,
of John Elway, none of the rest of them go out on top, man.
Yeah,
they're gonna go out thank God he did it in a playoff game, and it wasn't a regular season Week 17 game that didn't matter and nobody watched.
Yeah, instead, 19 out of 34, 134 yards, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions. I mean, it wasn't good.
No.
Ryan Johnson jumps in. It was the same game as the second time they played, but Breeze got smoked instead of Brady.
Yeah, it's neither one of these quarterbacks can do anything, and it's just whoever wins the turnover battle is going to get it. And 4-1 wins every time.
Yes. Mark said Breeze needs to retire. He can't throw the ball 20 yards down the field. Only 9 playoff wins.
Breeze is
in
definitely
career.
retiring.
Yeah, I think he is too. Ryan said Jameis Winston should have played in the second half. I mean, that Jameis Winston pass was pretty awesome.
Okay, but I mean that guy. Nobody was within 20 yards of that guy.
Yeah, no,
so yeah,
agreed.
you can't throw an interception when there's not a defender around to intercept the ball.
That is 100% true. 100% true. In case he said they're supposed to go out like that. Like, yeah, I think.
I mean, I'm telling you, I am mentally prepared for Tom Brady to go out like that.
Yes.
That's how it's going to end. It's the only way it can end. Because if they go out as winners, they think, oh, well, I'll do this again next year. Because they don't want to stop.
No, they never do.
So you only go out as a loser, and it's usually ugly.
No, you're right about that. So Tampa Bay, 35 carries, 127 yards rushing, 3.6 yards per carry, 1 touchdown on the ground. And, Tom Brady, 18 out of 33, 199 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. That's going to win you a lot of ball games when you're not turning the football over. So, yeah. So now we have Tom Brady against Aaron Rodgers in the NFC title game, and we have Patrick Mahomes, we think, against Josh Allen in the AFC title game. And I think we got some good matchups, man.
Yeah, we have like an 80-year-old matchup against, I think, like 49.
It's kind of crazy.
It's pretty
kind of crazy.
Pretty different. Yeah.
I love it. All right, let's get out of here. We've been going for a while, and we've got things to do, my friend. So if there's nothing else that has broken and I don't see anything, let's go ahead and wrap this thing up. You guys have been fantastic. Thank you to everybody that jumped in on the chat today. It is Martin Luther King Day. Everybody's off. The majority of people are off work. We'll say that. But we're glad that you decided to hang out with us. If you missed the beginning of the show or whatever, go download the podcast. You can get it at any of your favorite podcast apps. Leave us a nice 5-star review on Apple Podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that like button. Go ahead and make sure you are subscribed. Share the show out. Tell your friends, all that good stuff. And keep jumping in the comments even after the show's over. If you got something that you didn't get in on the live show, jump into those YouTube comments. We would certainly appreciate that. Casey wants to remind us Islanders and Canucks money line tonight. You going to be watching hockey tonight, Chris?
Well, not tonight. Me and you are working tonight.
Yeah, we got some things to do.
No, I have watched quite a bit of hockey throughout last week, though.
There you go.
The Bruins looking good.
Not too shabby.
The Flyers are sucking, and that makes me happy.
All right, you guys know what to do. Go to winningcureseverything.com. Go to sbrpicks.com/NCAAF. Subscribe where you need to be subscribed, and do us a favor, share the show out. We would certainly appreciate that. You guys have been fantastic. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other. And hopefully, we can keep on cashing tickets. Thanks for checking out Winning Cures Everything. If you want to keep up with us, hit subscribe on YouTube or your favorite podcast app. Visit the website at winningcureseverything.com, or you can like us on Facebook or follow us at Winning Cures, at Gary WCE, or at Chris B. Giannini on Twitter. Share out the show, leave a nice review, and make sure to comment